So, buddy, the roster, you understand it's set now?
Pretty
For the open,
finalized. It's
for the
it's
opening day?
finalized. I mean, the opening day is still, 5 days away, but we feel as though the 26-man roster is set for now. I mean, again, I wouldn't say a lot, but things can happen, between now and then, as whether it's injuries or something happens in these 5 days. And, we've seen that across all baseball, right? Some, unfortunate things with certain players with certain teams. And, it happened with us with Tyro. But, for now, the players know who's set to be on the roster on Friday. We're going to Florida tomorrow. We'll take an extra group of players there as we, finish out, our spring schedule in Fort Myers. But, we feel good about where we are.
Okay, there's a lot of intrigue about your outfield,
Yes.
especially with the trade yesterday
Sure.
and everything. But let's just
Yeah.
start there. Who made
Yeah.
it in the outfield?
Well, you're right. That was one area where we knew there was going to be some tough decisions to be made, and as it played out, some players had really good springs. Nick Martini will be on the roster. He showed very well. I think he brings an element to our club that not unlike what Jake Cave did for us last year, and the fan favorite that Jake Cave became. Sean Bouchard had a good spring. He'll be on the roster. Obviously, Brenton Doyle, will man center field. Jordan Beck will be on the roster. He's made a little bit of a push here lately. 4 home runs. Playing good defense. Has the experience of coming up last year, and unfortunately broke his hand. But we think that he's ready to, hopefully make that next step of development and improvement at the major league level as one of our young outfielders. Zach Veen, played well this spring. He will not be on the roster. Zach will be going to AAA to hone his skills. Last year in AAA, Thomas, Zach had 90 at bats, and actually Zach only had 270 at bats in the minor leagues last year. So, Zach hit 220 in AAA. There's still some things that he needs to focus on. The strikeout rate here was a little bit high. Facing major league pitchers here in spring training in Arizona. He realizes that the upper level pitching is different than A ball and AA pitching. So Zach realizes that there's probably a little bit more time needed in the minors and before he potentially gets an opportunity. But he'll force that hopefully by how he plays in AAA, and where we have all the confidence in the world in Zach that he'll play well in AAA and work on the things that he needs to work on. And we talked about those things this morning with Zach, and he totally understood. So, but we're looking forward to so many of our young players in our system developing this year. From Kyle Karros, who had a great spring, he'll be in AA. Cole Carrig will be in AA, coming off a big year with Karros in Spokane. A healthy Benny Montgomery, Chase Dolander, who's pitching today's game against the Brewers. He'll go to AAA to get acclimated to altitude there in Albuquerque, and hopefully he pitches well to, at some point comes to us and helps us win. So, there's some good things happening, I think, at the upper levels now. And we've talked about that for a couple of years, where some of our, brighter prospects are at the higher levels, getting that seasoning to when they do come to Denver, they'll be ready to contribute.
One guy I wanted to go back and ask about, Sam Hilliard.
Yeah.
What was his role?
Well, Sam, sort of very similar to what Sam did last year. Sam will be a defensive replacement. We feel comfortable with Sam's ability to play center field. Sammy can pinch run and steal us a base. Sammy's got some power if he does come off the bench, and he could provide power. Hit a home run yesterday against the Cubs. Hit a home run the other day against the Rangers. His swing's been a little bit better the last couple of days. It's been a tough spring for Sam, no doubt. He'll be the first to admit it. But, spring training's one thing, regular season's another. You look at Sam, what he did last year with, over an 800 OPS and OPS plus of 115 last season, put it together. Hopefully, again, the combination of all those guys. And you throw in Tyler Freeman, who we just got, his ability to play the outfield too and be a multi-positional player gives us great versatility, on the infield and in the outfield.
With Tyler Freeman, what do you see as far as his role is concerned? Obviously, you do have Kyle Farmer also as a second baseman, multi-utility guy. How do you see that working?
Well, I mean, we'll see. They'll both get their playing time, and like I said, they're both capable of moving around the infield, and Freeman has the ability to play the outfield. So without Estrada, who projected to be our everyday player, right, who was going to, play, almost every day, not unlike Tovar and Mack and Doyle, there'll be a timeshare situation with Farmer and Freeman. And also Farmer and Freeman can pick up Tovar when he needs that, rare day off, or Mac needs that day off against a lefty. And we got to use our bench, right, to, keep guys current and as active as possible. But it's, I think the bench is much improved where it's been the last couple of years, which is a big thing for all major league teams to have a solid bench. And we feel, our bench is as good as it's been the last couple of years.
Of course, just in kind of rounding out the diamond, you have your two catchers, Hunter Goodman and Jacob
Stallings. Yep.
You have first base Michael Tolley, and the infield you talked about. And KB is DH. How do you feel KB has rounded into shape?
The big thing is KB feels good physically. He didn't miss any time this spring. His back is, I don't want to say the concern, but it's been the focus the last, 6 months. Latter part of last year into the off season and here in spring training. So the back regiment that he is on, that he has undertaken, that he knows that he has to stay on top of, is in place. Physically, he feels very good. He's confident as we go into this last week and into next weekend that he's ready to go. He's ready to contribute. I'm sure that you've talked to him, and the media has spoken to KB about his expectation, and his expectations are high for performance. So that's why we play. I can't wait for Friday, right, to see all these guys.
And with KB, DH as much as possible. Do you back off a bit on the outfield now? I know he's played some first base.
DH as much as possible. We have a group that is built to play every day. There'll be times when we'll insert KB, potentially into first base, potentially in the outfield, but there'll be occurrences where we feel we need to take whether Tolley off his feet for a day or Doyle off his feet. The other outfielders, I don't think will need a day off from playing the field at DH, right? So it'll mostly center around what we do with Doyle, what we do with Tolley as it relates to KB.
From a pitching standpoint, obviously you go with 4 to start out. What were the final decisions in the bullpen?
I'll run through it. The two left-handed pitchers, Alexander and Peralta. Down the line of the relievers, we have Kinley, we have Vodnik, we have Halverson, we have CVG, we have Blaylock, we have Herget, we have Bird, and I think that's it. I think that's 7. So Jaden Hill, Zach Agnos, will be going to AAA to be there in reserve, right? And one thing that I think our fans and everybody have to realize that there's a opening day. There's a spectacle to it, but once the season unfolds, right? Often within a week, couple weeks, a month, the roster can change and be different names, and that could that will potentially definitely happen. You hope that the guys that start the season perform great, they stay healthy. We're winning some games with that roster, and you don't have to make a lot of moves. But as we know, the roster is fluid all the time, across the landscape of baseball.
When you go back to Brenton Doyle, he was sent out at the end of his spring training. Obviously Nolan Jones a couple of years ago, he had that big year. So guys who aren't on the roster to begin the year can end up making a difference.
Right.
Michael, as you talked about with Veen, that if he does the things he needs to do.
Michael Tolia, right, made the roster last year, struggled. We sent him back. He made adjustments, came back, and solidified himself as a major league player. As it relates to to Veen or Jaden Hill or Agnos or any of our younger prospects that we hope that they play very well in the minors. They force our hand to get to the big leagues and prove that they're major league players. I mean, every major league player, once they get to the big leagues, wants to stay and have an extended career. That's not always the case. But players know that this is a performance game. It truly is, and they determine their own fate by how they play.
Okay, let's